This is Mark Codo, aka Codoman, and welcome to another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. Now, for this episode, I'm going to talk about a movie that, to be quite honest, I wasn't really planning to talk about. Like, I had about a couple movies in mind I want to talk about with my twin brother, Mike Codo, who has been on the show a few times already. But for this episode, I decided to go solo once more on a movie that I was not planning on talking about. So this movie is currently playing in theaters, and this will be the first movie from 2026 that I'm going to talk about. Now, of course, the movie that I'm going to talk about that is currently in theaters, the movie is GOAT. Yes, you heard that right. I am talking about the movie GOAT, which is basically, it stands for greatest of all time, which is basically, it's basically a sports culture thing to refer to an athlete as the greatest of all time, or certainly GOAT, right? And of course, due to the abbreviation for the greatest of all time, GOAT, basically symbolizing goats, right? It's basically, the whole GOAT thing is basically used in sports media, right? Like you got big names out there. Like one example I could definitely think of is basically, Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. And I mean, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, for example, like they're two of the greatest basketball players in my opinion. I mean, this is going to be a hot take, but there's definitely a lot of basketball goats out there, particularly in men's and women's basketball. Basketball is not the only sport. You definitely got goats in football, baseball, gymnastics, any other sports that you could definitely think of. But of course, basketball is probably the big sport to bring in, the term of GOAT, just in my opinion. So anyway, the GOAT movie is a 2026 American animated sports comedy film produced by Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures Animation, directed by Tyree Dillehay, and written by Aaron Boschbahn and Ted Riley. And it stars Caleb McLaughlin as Will Harris, an anthropomorphic goat who aspires to become the greatest of all time at a basketball-like sport known as Roarball. So Roarball is basically in the Goats movie. Roarball is basically, basketball in their world. So the film has an ensemble cast which includes Gabrielle Union, Aaron Pierre, Nicola Coughlan, David Harbour, Nick Kroll, Jennifer Lewis, Patton Oswalt, Jelly Roll, Jennifer Hudson, Sherry Cola, Eduardo Franco, Andrew Santino, Bobby Lee, and of course, Stephen Curry, who actually plays a character in this movie, and of course, serves as a producer on this movie too. And of course, Stephen Curry, everybody knows who Stephen Curry is. He's obviously an NBA basketball player who plays for the Golden State Warriors. And I guess you could say he is also a GOAT as well in basketball, one of the few GOATs alongside with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, just to throw this out there. But anyway, now before I dive into the movie, also to let you know, we are going into spoiler territory for this movie because this movie is currently playing in theaters and it was released on February 13th of this year, and the day that I'm recording this episode is basically February 15th. So I'm recording this episode 2 days after this movie came out in theaters. And also, if you are new to the podcast, welcome to Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more content. And if you're listening to this on Spotify and Podbean, don't forget to hit the follow button as well. All right, let's get back to it. So anyway, to let everybody know, I mean, I have been involved in sports in my childhood, like baseball, soccer, but mostly cross country, wrestling, and track. But of course, the running sports are basically like my go-tos. Like I ran cross country from junior high all the way to high school. By the way, so I ran 6 years of cross country, and of course 5 years of track as well. So I'm more into the running sports. But of course, in my some of my previous episodes, I mentioned that I also work as a sports videographer part time with Naperville Community Television. And yes, I have covered my fair share of basketball games as well. So I know a little bit of basketball, but not a whole lot in terms of terminology. But I do get it. But I kind of know what the sport is, right? Just a little bit. But yeah, but I have filmed my fair share of high school sporting events with Naperville Community Television. Just to throw that out there. Now, of course, with the Goat movie, but of course, with the Goat movie, obviously enough, it's basketball, right? Greatest of all time, right? I mean, the way how I describe this movie, the movie Goat, this is basically Space Jam and Zootopia combined into one. So yeah, this is basically Space Jam and Zootopia combined into one movie. And of course, this movie is distributed by the same studios who did the K-pop Demon Hunters movie and the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies, right? That's amazing right there. But of course, the movie's directed by Tyree Dillahay, written by Aaron Buxbaum and Ted Riley, with a story by Nicholas Curcio and Peter Chiarelli. And this movie is actually, believe it or not, was primarily inspired by a single chapter called Farm Team, and it's based on, I guess, a story called Funky Dunks. You dunk a basketball, right? And this movie is produced by Michelle Ramo Coyette, Eric Payton, Stephen Curry, Adam Rosenberg, and Rodney Rothman. To which Rodney Rothman was involved with the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies. In fact, they are coming out with a third one sometime next year, and I'm still waiting on that third Spider-Man Spider-Verse movie. I hope the wait pays off because I'm just on the edge of my seat to see how the Spider-Man Spider-Verse trilogy gets concluded, right? Well, we'll see what happens once it comes out in 2027. I already mentioned the cast already. Music was provided by Chris Bowers, with Claire Knight being the editor. Distributed by Sony Pictures Releasing alongside Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures Animation. The film came out on February 13th of 2026, which is basically Friday the 13th, and the running time of this movie is 100 minutes. And the film had a budget of 80 to 90 million dollars. Now that sounds like a good budget right there, especially for an animated movie, right? Especially for an animated movie that basically has the similar animation style from the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies, and of course the K-pop Demon Hunters movie as well. In fact, also to mention this, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that came out in 2023 also had that similar animation design as well. The idea for the movie Goat was developed back in 2019 and announced in May of 2024, with most of the cast being announced in June of 2025. And it had an early access screening on February 7th of 2026 and was released in the United States on February 13th of 2026 by Sony Pictures Releasing, and it received generally positive reviews from critics. Now, obviously enough, this movie is making its rounds and is basically, is actually getting a lot is actually been getting some praise lately. So that's actually pretty good. Now, like I said, this movie is currently in theaters, so it'll definitely get a lot more. So there'll definitely be more people going out to see this movie, and I definitely say for what Sony Pictures Animations is doing, like they're with these with because of I'm so tied onto this type of animation that Sony Pictures have, right? Like the animation style, this is the same animation style that was used in K-pop Demon Hunters and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like Sony Pictures Animation is really pushing the envelope with this type of animation. And you know what? I enjoy this animation. Like this animation is basically a mix of 2D, 3D, while having this unique art style. The animation in this is really good. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost as if it's like it's almost like a comic book y type of animation, sort of say, But I do have to respect the animation. Like this animation is really good. Like I like the animation. I like this type of animation. Like this animation is really good. I like this animation. I like this animation. It's basically it's like hand drawn. It's like almost hand. It's like hand drawn animation almost. But of course, you do it with a mix of computer anime. It's like a mix of hand drawn and computer animation almost. I like this type of animation. So with that being said, yeah, Sony Pictures Animation is really pushing the envelope on this type of animation, and I like it. But anyway, just to move forward, so going to the production of this movie, Sony Pictures announced that they would develop an animated sports film titled GOAT, which was announced back in May of 2024, with Tyree Dillihay directing and Adam Rosette co-directing, while Stephen Curry and Eric Payton would produce under their unanimous media company alongside Michelle Ramo Coyette and Modern Magic's Adam Rosenberg and Roddy Rothman. Rick Michelle and Fonda Snyder served as executive producers, with David Schollenberg co-producing. The film had been in the works since 2019, with Aaron Buchsbaum and Teddy Riley received screenplay credit, while Nicholas Curcio and Peter Chiarelli received story credit. The film's animation was done by Sony Pictures Imageworks, using the same animation styles used on K-pop Demon Hunters and the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies. And you know what? Sony Pictures Animation is pushing the envelope on this type of animation. And I like it. And of course, the music was composed by Chris Bowers, with the film's soundtrack released via Mercury Records on February 13th, 2025. The film's original score was released via Sony Classical the same day. And that's pretty much it for the production. Now, of course, y'all are probably wondering how I got tied into this movie. So, obviously enough, me and my twin brother Mike, to which we both went to see this movie on Friday night, the night that it opened. We didn't know what to expect from this movie. Even I was kind of on the fence even I was kind of on the fence on this movie too, because I saw the film's poster. Right, it was just it was just a goat, right? It was just a movie poster. It was kind of a teaser poster, so to say, and it features a silhouette shot of a goat playing basketball, right? Get it, goat, with the movie title Goat, right? And at first, I did not know what. At first, I was like, "What is this? Like, goat? What is this movie supposed to be about?" Like, I didn't know what this movie was supposed to be about, but it wasn't until I saw the film's trailer and it changed my mind. I was like, "Okay, I gotta see this movie." Like when I saw the trailer, I was blown away, and it's basically your typical underdog story, right? Your typical underdog story about a goat who is actually who wants to play basketball, right? Although apparently the goat, and his name is Will Harris. Will Harris, who is a goat, he's basically small, right? And come to think of it, when it comes to like basketball, you have you have these huge basketball stars, right? They're basically like 6 or 7 feet tall. Those guys are really tall. They're like giants. These basketball players, they're pretty much like giants, right? That's impressive. And of course, in this movie, they're basically giants as well, right? Giant animals, right? Giant animals playing basketball with a goat, right? Who is a lot small, who is smaller than these giant animals, right? Although granted, there are some animals in this movie that are kind of like his size too, right? But anyway, with that being said, how about we get to the breakdown of this movie, shall we? So anyway, just to let you all know, we are going into slam dunk spoiler territory. So spoiler alert. So the movie opens up in a world of anthropomorphic animals at the city of Vineland. A young goat named Will Harris, who is being played by Caleb McLaughlin, aspires to be like his idol Black Panther Jet Fillmore, a roarball player for the Vinland Thorns. And Jeff Fillmore is being played by Gabrielle Union, who is actually the wife to basketball player Dwayne Wade, who also makes an appearance in this movie, by the way. So Will goes to a Roarball game with his mom, and his mom is being played by Jennifer Hudson. The two go watch the game, right? And it's basically a surprise to Will because it's like this is like his first basketball game that he has ever been to in his lifetime, and he's able to go watch this game with his mom, right? And of course, when Will sees Jet Fillmore playing basketball or roarball, Will is like, when I grow up, I want to be just like Jet Fillmore, right? Being a basketball player, basketball or roarball player. I'm just gonna say basketball. I know it was roarball, but it's basically basketball. You can tell it's basketball in this goat movie, right? It's basketball. So anyway, 10 years later, the Thorns have not won all season with Jet asking the team owner Florence Flo Everson, being played by Jennifer Lewis, to do whatever she can to complete and make the team by finding a sixth player. Because in basketball, you need to have five players out on the court, right? I mean, yeah, you got more players, but of course you need five players out on the court. I think that's the rule, right? So an additional player obviously makes sense while the other player sits out for a bit, right? So anyway, Will, who now works at a diner, is struggling to pay rent while practicing rollerball, and of course, while struggling to pay rent, Wayne Knight plays the he play Wayne Knight plays a gerbil named Frank, who is basically Will's landlord, who's basically who always checks in on Will about rent, right? It's like he's like, "Hey, when are you gonna pay the rent? Hey, when are you gonna pay the rent? You haven't been paying. You haven't been paying for quite a while, right? Right? It's like that. It's like that one rent guy from the second and third Spider-Man movie who always checks in on Peter Parker, Toby Maguire, who always checks in on Toby Maguire, the live action Spider-Man goat, in my opinion, who basically checks in on him and says, "Rent, right, right." But yeah, so anyway, Frank just checks in on Will for about the rent money, right? And Will works at a diner, which is pretty cool, but of course, struggles to pay rent while practicing rollerball. And one day he's all alone out on the court, out on the basketball court playing basketball. He is stopped by a bunch of other animals wanting to play basketball on the court, including this grizzly bear named Grizz, being played by Jelly Roll, by the way. Yeah, Jelly Roll. They got Jelly Roll in this movie to voice a bear. Huh? A grizzly bear. Grizz was like, "What are you doing here, kid? You're too small to play basketball, right?" That sort of thing, because they're going with this whole, because in this movie, they're going with this whole, you're too small to play basketball, right? That sort of thing, while you got these huge, giant animals also playing basketball too, right? Right? You know what I'm saying, right? Of course, Will's got a couple of buddies as well, and while he's struggling to pay rent, he trades in one of his shoes but he trades in like a couple of pair of shoes for 200. I guess it was $200. I believe. I think that was the amount. He struggles to pay rent. He trades his shoes in for like $200. I think it was 200. Maybe it was more than that, but whatever. And while trying to find the money, Will goes up against a horse named Main Attraction, who is being played by Aaron Pierre, who voiced Mufasa in the Mufasa Lion King movie. And Will goes up against Main Attraction, who is basically the lead player for the Lava Court Magmas. Pretty awesome name right there. And though Will gets an early lead, Will loses the game, and of course his rent money as well, because what he does is he actually betted against him, saying that, hey, if I win this game, maybe I might get a chance on the court. Hey, if I win this game, you guys pay me more money, or at least a spot on the team. I think that was the bet. I don't remember exactly, but but I do remember, if Will loses, he will have to give him the $200. He will have to give main attraction the $200, right? And I'm just gonna throw this out there right now to anybody who is out there struggling to pay rent, and you have the rent money, so to say. Don't go out and gamble it, okay? Once you have the rent money, pay the rent, okay? Do not use that rent money to gamble, all right? And that's what Will did in this movie. So my advice, all right? And I kind of picked up on this too when I was watching this movie. If you are someone who is struggling with rent money, and of course you had to trade something in to get the rent money, and once you got the money to pay for rent, pay the rent. Do not gamble with it, okay? That's gonna bite you in the ass. And that's what happened with Will Harris. He wanted to use the $200 rent money to basically gamble, right? I mean, I guess you could say he didn't really gamble, but he kind of did, just to, go up against main attraction, and he basically lost, right? It's the same thing that happened in the Shark Tale movie, right? Where Oscar, who where the where Will Smith's character Oscar was trading in his girlfriend's a pearl. I guess it was a pearl. I think it was a pearl or something, or a necklace. I think it was a necklace pearl, or I think it was a pearl in that Shark Tale movie. He trades in the pearl for money, that who was going to pay his boss back at the car wash, but instead he uses that money to bet on a horse race, and he lost it all. That whole scene in the Goat movie reminded me of that whole scene where Will loses his rent money to main attraction after that game. That whole scene reminded me of that other scene from Shark Tale where Oscar lost all the money on a horse race. And that was the money that Oscar was going to pay back his boss, right? So yeah, I once you have the rent money, pay the rent. Do not bet it, do not gamble or bet on something with it just to, gain more money. I mean that's just my thing when it comes to like rent, okay? I'm just saying, all right? That's my opinion, but I'm just saying, gotta think before you act. So anyway, moving forward, so Will loses the game. Of course, his apartment space is also taken too, causing him to crash with his friend Daryl, right? And Daryl is basically his friend, and of course, Daryl is basically a capybara, who is Will's friend, being played by Eduardo Franco. And of course, Daryl's got another friend named Hannah, who is an aardwolf, being played by Sherry Cola. And I also like this little jab from I like this little insult from Hannah, where Hannah goes out for the night and tells Daryl and Will, like, "Hey, I'm gonna go out for the, hey, I'm gonna go on a date for the night." And Daryl and Will were like, "Ooh, who's your date?" And Hannah was like, "Oh, let's see, your mom." Like, she straight up made a "Yo Mama" joke right in front of Will and Daryl. Like, I don't know, but that whole bit was pretty funny. So the next morning, a video of Will breaking main. So anyway, the next morning, we find out that there was a video going viral of Will playing basketball with Maine, and it turns out it's basically a video of Will breaking Maine's ankles, and it goes viral, right? So and of course, breaking ankles is a slang which refers to rapid movements from a player which causes a defender to stumble or fall, right? So Will made Maine fall, right? And as he arrives to the diner, he is surprised to see Flo, and he is signed to the Thorns on the spot. Now, I'm going to pause for a sec right there. Now, he gets signed immediately, right? I mean, he didn't get, he didn't really try out for the team or anything, right? I mean, he didn't try out for the team. Of course, I mean, I guess you can say maybe that viral video caught Flo's attention, which I guess it kind of makes sense. But I mean, but even then, I mean, wouldn't she at least try to watch that game, right? Like if she came into town the day before and realized and found Maine and Will going up against each other, like Flo would have immediately like talked to Will right away, right? Like she would have been impressed by how well Will was playing, right? Despite his short stature, right? I'm just saying. But yet again, this is a movie, so there's definitely going to be some creative liberties to this. So then when Jet finds out, she is enraged and mocks Will during an interview. Like she literally straight up goes to Flo and says, "You hired a goat?" She is surprised that Flo hired an actual goat, right? Because she knows how small Will is, right? I mean, she finally meets Will, and the first thing that she tries to do is basically she tries to eat him, right? She even says something like, "I'm going to eat this goat," but of course, as the cat that Jet is, Flo sprays her with water, right? Just to stop her, right? So anyway, while that's going on, Will and Jet have like their own press conference that's going on. Everybody's asking questions and so on, and and of course, Will is introduced to the team alongside with the coach, with the coach who is a proboscis monkey named Coach Dennis, being played by Patton Oswalt, and of course the other team members, which includes an Indian rhinoceros named Archie Everhart, who is actually played by David Harbour, a giraffe named Lenny Williamson, being played by none other than Stephen Curry, and then a Komodo dragon named Moto Olochenko, being played by Nick Kroll, and an ostrich named Olivia Burke. Now, now Olivia Burke is being played by Nicola Coughlin. Now, of course, we are basically Will is introduced to the team, and of course, Will is getting introduced to the team, gets his jersey, and of course, being introduced to the coach as well. And while that's going on, remember the viral video, and of course, I'm going back to the viral video of Will breaking Maine's ankles. Well, Maine comes back with a diss track of his own for Will, right? And I am not kidding around with this one. This diss track, I can't stop thinking about it right now. I can't stop thinking about it. This diss track has so many bars, right? And let's just put it this way, all right? So this diss track starts off with Maine basically pouring water on a drawing what looks to be Will as a goat, and it basically is right, and there's a couple of words right next to Will, right next to the goat drawing, and it actually features Thorns suck, right? Because in this movie, the Thorns have not won a game in a while, so which explains the Thorns suck, right? Like they suck so hard that they haven't won a game in years, right? That's the whole thing, right? But what's also interesting too, this is basically an innuendo, is that it looks like it basically looks like Maine was basically pissing on Will. Get it? Diss track, right? A diss track to piss off the opponent, right? That sort of way, But of course, it's just basically a main pouring water on the actual drawing of Will, right? He basically goes on to sing, and he basically sings, it's main time, right? Like, oh my goodness, I'm not kidding you. How it's like literally, it opens up like I said, it opens up with Maine pouring water on the drawing of Will Harris, and he's like it's main attraction time, right? Main attraction, it's the main attraction, the main game. But of course, main is basically like, like a hair, like a hair on a lion, right? I guess you could say there is a bit of a mane for a horse, right? And of course, this song, this diss track has some lyrics, right? It's basically like this, and I'm quoting this track, by the way. I know you think you're all bah, but I'ma have you crying like bah like bah. You just go here. I'm the main attraction, though. I'm the Godfather. Call me Pony Soprano. Oh my goodness! Like he just says, I'm the Godfather. Call me Pony Soprano. Pony Soprano, Tony Soprano from The Sopranos. But of course, saying that he's the Godfather, right? Kind of like, like the Godfather from like the Godfather, Marlon Brando, Al Pacino's characters from the Godfather movies that came out in the 70s, right? Like, dude, man. Dude, like he's just preferring himself as Pony Soprano, the Godfather. Like, damn, man. And this gets crazy. He keeps going on this diss track saying, "I'm gonna keep it short, just like you, bro. That's yeah." I'm gonna keep it short, just like you. Like, yeah, he's keeping this diss track short, but he's basically dissing on Will because he's a small goat, right? And he's short. Like, damn, man. Like he just roasted him, and then, of course, he continues with, next time we on the court, the smoke's on you. Act tough, but you scared. I'm in your nightmares tonight. When you sleep, you'll be crying goat tears. And that's how it ends, right? And oh man, yeah. And the goat tears is just basically him drinking water, but it's basically, drinking the tears of his opponent, right? Like Will Harris will be crying goat tears, they'll be crying, players will be crying tears, and the other opponent will be drinking it, will be drinking it like a victory drink, right? I don't know what to say about this track, but Aaron Pierre's got some rapping skills right there with that diss track. But of course, its main attraction singing that. Part of me wishes that, I mean, I wish there was one more lyric where we can continue with the Godfather joke, where I wish he would have said, "You better be careful sleeping tonight because my head may pop up in your bed." Right? Something like that. Like, because in the first Godfather movie, when Marlon Brando tells Robert Duvall's character to go to California to talk to this movie director. Um, he like Marlon Brando's character tells Vito Corleone, right? Vito Corleone tells Robert Duvall's character, "I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse," right? And of course, Robert Duvall's character goes over there. The director refuses, and then the next day, and then of course we also find out that this director has like a couple of horses, right? And what happens was Robert Duvall's character leaves a horse head on the director's bed, right? Like, I wish we could have gotten something like that in it. I wish we could have gotten like another lyric where main attraction is saying, "Hey, better be careful sleeping tonight, otherwise you'll be seeing my head in your bed tonight." That sort of thing, right? I wish there was a little lyric writing for that, but that's just my opinion. But that's just me. I mean, that would have been a little. That would have been a little funny. But I'm just saying. But you know what? Main attraction knew what he was doing. So anyway, moving forward, Will is basically placed on the bench for a few games, but when Jet has a technical foul. She is forced to sit out. And of course, Will subs in for her and scores a winning point, gaining the Thorns their first win and the respect of his other teammates. What's also funny too is that there is actually a bowl playing in one of the games, right? That bowl is being played by Dwayne Wade, who is a basketball player for the Shadows, right? And his name is Rosette, but of course, it's kind of funny that this bull lost the game for the Shadows, right? For the Shadows, right? Oh man. Just to continue. While filming a promotional video, Jet is angered and leaves the shoot. Although Will convinces her to follow him, and he takes her to the diner where he used to work. Will tells her about how his mother told him to dream big before she passed away years later. And Will's mom is being played by Jennifer Hudson in this movie. Just to let you know. And the owner of the diner, Carol, makes Jet promise to bring home the claw, which is basically this movie's version of a trophy, right? And of course, that night, Jet goes on a live stream with Maine and defends her team, allowing Dennis to coach them. After this, they go on a winning streak, ending up in playoffs. Now, of course, going to the players, some of these players do have like weakness, do have certain things going on. Like Archie Everhart, who Archie Everhart is a single father of twin daughters, and he's basically like the gentle parent, right? And of course, Modo Alachenko is basically, I guess you can say, I don't know what his thing is, but he likes to shed his skin, and he is obsessed with this one egg, right? So I guess an obsession or something, or an addiction, I guess. And then of course you got Stephen Curry, and then of course you got Lenny Williamson, who is basically, who basically runs his own music studio. And then you got the ostrich, Olivia Burke, who's basically on her phone a lot, right? And they're using these ways to, like, hey, you may be focused on that type of stuff, but there's ways you could do, but you gotta have like your main game as the focus, right? To get better at the game, right? So anyway, and then of course, Jet. Jet is the player who takes her loss a little too seriously. Like it's all like Jet hasn't won a game in a long time, and many of the fans wanted to see her retire, right? Knowing how, and like some of the I guess you could say, main attraction gives both Jet and Will a bunch of crap, right? Because Jet is kind of like on the verge of retirement, but Jet wants to continue playing, right? Like Jet has this she has a sense of pride in herself, right? Like still saying that she is the GOAT, right? Like she's the greatest of all time and not Will Harris, right? Just because Will Harris is a GOAT, that doesn't make him the GOAT, right? Like there's even a scene where she doesn't want to pass the torch to Will, right? Claiming that she is still the GOAT, not Will Harris, right? I mean, hey, there's multiple GOATs out there. There's multiple basketball players out there who are considered GOATs. So anyway, before the semifinals, Flo tells Jet that the team has been sold, everyone will be cut, and that she will never win the claw. Will overhears this, although Jet tells him to keep quiet and to announce it after the game. So apparently the team starts off poorly. However, in the final quarter, Will tells them that what he overheard. And their team is upset and shocked. And Jet starts hogging the ball as they resume playing, right? And of course, this is also during a game where Jet kind of like tells everyone off how they're playing, right? They're basically not focusing. But of course, we know why Jet's acting like this, because the team is being sold, and of course, is forcing Jet to retire, right? Like she's basically, she's forcing Jet to retire while also selling the team. But it's also hinted at the beginning of the movie where, I feel like Jet was kind of on the verge of retirement a little bit, but she doesn't want to. But at one point, she kind of wants to retire, right? But after winning a bolo of games, she gains the confidence to continue playing. But Flo is like, oh yeah, sorry, oh yeah, I sold the team, and you're gonna retire. Sorry, that sort of way. Like this is actually during the semifinal game before the championship game. Like, why would Flo do that? Like, that is just absolutely rude. That basically shows what a greedy bastard Flo is in this movie, right? She's basically all about the money, right? It's about the money, money, money. That sort of thing, right? That's Flo's kind of thing, right? So anyway, technically Jet hogs the ball from all of her players, including Will, who is going to make the final slam dunk, but apparently Jet makes the final dunk. And while the Thorns win, everyone on the team quits due to Jet's selfishness, right? Like Jet is so full of pride, but also selfish of what was going on, right? And everybody leaves just to do their normal lives, which is basically, um, doing their own thing. Like Olivia, the ostrich, is basically putting her head in a hole. The Komodo dragon is just basically, being obsessed with this egg. Stephen Curry's giraffe is basically, doing in the studio, playing in the studio, recording his own album, and then of course the rhinoceros being with his two daughters, right? And the coach, I guess the coach left, right? And Jet feels bad, so he goes over to Will back in Vineland, and she apologizes to Will for her actions and tearfully admits that she was scared of losing her glory and fame, right? Glory and fame of her being the GOAT, right? So then, with his help, the pair get the team back together and they face off against the Magmas, which is basically main attraction, right? Also to mention this too, going back to the semifinal game, the semifinal game is basically against it was basically against a basketball team called the Shivers, right? Shivers, and it's basically set in an Arctic like stadium, right? And while I'm bringing this up, Angel Reese, who plays for the Chicago Sky for women's basketball, uh, she plays a polar bear named Prop, and she only gets a couple of lines in this movie, right? Like, yeah, Angel Reese is in this movie, alongside with Aja Wilson as well, and this also includes Andre Iguodala, if I'm saying his name right, and if I do apologize if I butcher any of the names. But yeah, we got Angel Reese, Aja Wilson, and Andre Iguodala. Some of the famous professional basketball players who have made an appearance in this movie. But yeah, but Angel Reese, I was kind of surprised that Angel Reese is in this movie too. Like she's not in this movie for very long, but she only has a couple of lines. I wish they got Caitlin Clark in this movie. That way we could have an in-joke rival between, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark in this movie. And just to throw this out there, Caitlin Clark is better than Angel Reese. Enough said. But anyway, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion on that. But anyway, all the players are back together. So the band is back together. So anyway, all the players are back, basically getting the band back together. So then during the game, Maine causes Jet to get a possibly career-ending injury on her leg, and she is forced to walk on crutches. When she gets back out on the court, Jet is applauded and she sits on the bench, watching the rest of the team play. During the final quarter, Archie gets an ejection after defending Will for Maine, and Jet decides to step back in, and Dennis gives them a new play because they only have a few seconds left on the clock. Jet distracts the Magmas and passes the ball to Will, to which Will makes the winning shot. while Jet has a career-ending injury on her leg. After she attempts the final shot, she actually put too much pressure on her leg, and she gave the final shot to Will, who makes the winning shot, right? And of course, the team celebrates while Maine's hair is burnt off and Flo is chased off the field. By the way, Will was able to help Maine get back on his feet, by the way. And this is also a callback to when Maine and Will kind of fought back in Vinland, where Maine offers what Will thought Maine was going to offer his hand, but of course he was referring to Will's rent money, right? So nice little callback right there. But instead, Will was able to offer Maine's help to get back on his feet, right? That sort of thing. I thought that was a nice thing too. Show good sportsmanship. Although sort of for main attraction, though. So anyway, back in Vinland, the Thorns celebrate with the well-earned claw, where Modo reveals that he bought the team, allowing them to stay in Vinland. So now, the team is back in action in Vinland, and the movie ends. So yeah, there you have it, folks. That is my breakdown on the GOAT movie. I'll say this. This movie is actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought the story was fine. I mean, I guess you could say the some of the jokes and the I guess you could say some of the jokes were all over the place, but I didn't care. I thought it was fine. But I also thought the underdog story was also fine too. I mean, I guess you could say for some people, I guess some people probably say, "Oh, we've seen this type of story before, right?" I mean, true, yeah. I mean, it's your typical underdog story where a new competitor steps onto the field and proves to the world that hey, I can do this, right? That sort of thing, right? But anyway, the animation for this movie is really good. Like I enjoy the animation for this movie. The characters in this movie, I mean, I'll say this. I mean, the characters were not as memorable, although I do like main attractions diss track throughout that one portion of the movie. And I guess you could say Will and Jet we're pretty memorable too, although their interaction, although the interaction between both Jet and Will is pretty good. Like I like their interaction throughout the movie. Like Jet at one point, it's like she doesn't buy it at first on seeing Will being a goat of a basketball player, but down the line, she and Will were able to interact, and that was after that commercial that they failed to do, and it's basically, and of course Will bringing Jet to town to that diner, just to show the diner how that hey, I mean hey that hey we that hey you're a popular idol, right? A popular basketball player. Like Jeff Fillmore has inspired a lot of animals in that town, including Will, right? That's why the whole town looks up to Jet Fillmore, and she sees it after she went into town, realizing that hey, even though Union team sucked these past few years, we still look up to you. We still look up to you as a good as an inspiration right? For basketball, right? I mean that sort of thing. And yeah, and I could definitely see that, right? That's the whole community, right? And that's one thing I like about this movie. There's basically a theme of community in this movie, right? There's a theme of community in this movie, right? Including perseverance and finding one's purpose, right? So you got the underdog's journey and perseverance, where the core plot centers on Will, who is a small, overlooked goat who strives to make it in a professional, high-stakes sport, highlighting the never too small to dream big message. It's basically, like, hey, Will is getting a lot of crap for being small, but hey, he doesn't buy it. He keeps going. He keeps going and moves on. And Jet soon under and Jet kind of understands it after the team started to win more games, right? And then of course you got the purpose beyond winning, which is basically the film emphasizing playing for the right reasons, honoring loved ones and community rather than just for fame and ego. And come to think of it, throughout that time, Jet was just basically playing for fame, basically playing for fame or ego, right? And rather than honoring loved ones, like she doesn't like she let the fame get to her throughout the entire movie, and you see that throughout the movie, including the semifinals game, that once she heard that the team was going to be sold and that she was going to be forced to retire, she let her fame and ego get in the way, right? Kind of like how like her own pride was her downfall, right? Her pride, her fame, her ego was her own downfall. At that point when everybody left, at the point where everyone split up after the semifinal game, right? And thankfully, Jet was able to apologize and get everyone back, right? And then you got the sense of athletic mortality and legacy, right? Going back to Jet, she navigates the struggles of an aging athlete attempting to maintain her legacy in the face of public pressure and social media scrutiny, right? And then, of course, teamwork and support systems, like the narrative highlights that true success requires relying on others, overcoming selfish goals, and working together as a team. And we got the team, working together, and that's what I like about that. These types of themes are pretty good for that movie, right? I thought the cast in this movie was pretty solid. Like Caleb McLaughlin, like he was actually pretty good in this movie. Like Caleb, what recently alongside with David Harbour, they were both on Stranger Things, and the Stranger Things series have already wrapped up, right? And it's actually nice that both David Harbour and Caleb McLaughlin appeared in this movie. And oddly enough, the other, and of course, Aaron Pierre. I thought Aaron Pierre was pretty funny as main attraction, right? Especially the diss track that he made to diss on Will Harris, giving him a lot of horse crap, or should I say, a lot of goat tears, huh? Speaking of tears, there was this one game where the Thorns were playing. It was a and one of the teammates is an alligator or a crocodile, so to say, right? And this crocodile, I for and this whole crocodile alligator, so to say, something like that. This crocodile was playing for a different team, but what's also funny too is that like this crocodile was tearing up, and in my mind it's like, hey, you ever heard of goat tears? Looks like Will Harris and the team will be drinking crocodile tears, so to say, right? Or maybe alligator tears. I mean, whatever. I mean, I thought I'd bring this up, but Stephen Curry playing the giraffe, I thought that was pretty hilarious too. I mean, and of course, Jelly Roll was pretty fun. I mean, Jelly Roll as the grizzly bear, I thought that was pretty funny. Gabrielle Union, I thought she was solid as Jeff Fillmore, especially her interaction with Will Harris, and then of course, let's see, Nick Kroll. I thought Nick Kroll as Modo Alachenko was pretty funny, including like Nicola Coughlin playing Olivia Burke, the ostrich. I thought she was fine. David Harbour, I thought David Harbour was fine too. But Patton Oswalt, who played Dennis Cooper, the Thorns coach, I thought he was pretty solid too. I do wish that, and of course Jennifer Hudson playing the mom, Will's mom in this movie. Like I mean, despite the short screen time that she had, I thought she was pretty solid. I thought she was pretty good. And it's mentioned that Will's mom passed away from being sick, but we didn't know what type of sickness that she had. But yeah, but Will's mom was basically, Will's mom was always there for Will, right? And then of course, giving Will the message to dream big, right? Hey, we gotta dream big, right? And I actually agree with that, and I actually like that. we gotta dream big to succeed, right? Dream big, work hard to succeed, and work together, right? Also, to bring this up too, Wayne Knight, who plays Frank the gerbil, I thought he was pretty fun. I thought he was pretty funny too. Like he has a huge family of gerbils, right? And one of them sees Will, right? And who wish Will good luck when he leaves the apartment. And was also funny too, and this was also in the trailer, is that one of the little gerbils tossed a little sandwich to Will, and unfortunately the sandwich lands on the ground, and the gerbil's like, "Oop, sorry, airball." That sort of thing, right? So anyway, just to move forward. Oh, I did not notice that Kevin Love plays. Oh, Kevin Love is in this movie too. Who plays a gorilla basketball player named Daskas. That's actually interesting right there. I didn't recognize I didn't think I see him. I didn't think I would hear his voice in that movie. I mean Dwayne Wade, and then of course you got Adam Pally as well. Like dang, like this movie has got a cast, man. I mean this movie's got a cast, including Bobby Lee, Andrew Santino, Aisha Curry. Aisha Curry played Carol the llama, who is the owner of the diner, and Will's mother, and who played the owner of the diner that Will's mom works. Right? I mean that's interesting right there. In fact, Aisha Curry, actually, funny enough, Aisha Curry is actually the wife to Stephen Curry. That's actually coming to think of it, that's actually pretty interesting. Nice to see that Stephen Curry's wife is in this movie. That's actually pretty cool. And then Jennifer Lewis played Flo, the warthog owner of the Vinland Thorns, who basically sold the team, but thankfully she got her comeuppance at the end from the twin Rhino daughters, right? Anyway, with that being said, that's pretty much it for the cast. I mean, but anyway, just to continue on, I do like the whole world of Vinland, right? Like I said, this is basically Zootopia and Space Jam, right? But it's got the more of a Zootopia feel to it, which, to be quite honest, I feel like that's the best way to describe this movie, right? It's basically Zootopia and Space Jam, right? And and I like this whole world. We get to introduce to different basketball areas, like we get to the jungle one, the one with the jungle one. We get to see the magma one, which is basically this a volcano like basketball court, and then you get to the Arctic basketball court as well, which I thought was pretty cool. And then there's a few other courts that we also saw in this movie too, right? I think the other one, it was the shadows, right? And there was probably a basketball court for the shadows as well, but many of these basketball courts are pretty cool too. Yeah, so that right. So with that being said, that's pretty much it with this movie. So anyway, there you have it, folks. That is my take on the GOAT movie. So that pretty much wraps up on my overall thoughts on this movie. I enjoyed this movie, and I had a lot of fun with this movie. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are going to see this movie will definitely have a lot of fun as well. When I saw this movie, it was pretty much an almost packed theater, right? It was pretty much an almost packed theater. Like there was basically a lot of kids going to see this movie because it's basketball, right? There's going to be a lot of kids going to see a basketball movie, right? I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, right? Basketball movie, and I'm pretty sure adults will definitely check this movie out too, right? But other than that, that's just pretty much it. And I'll be honest, if I were to rank this movie, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed this movie for what it is. It was a lot of fun. The casting is good. The story is fine. Even the animation is also good too. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So there you have it, folks. That is my take on the GOAT movie. And And I'll say this, I definitely believe we should definitely go out and support this movie. This movie is currently playing in theaters right now, so we'll definitely go out. So to those who have not seen this movie, I say go check this movie out. It definitely needs a lot of support. There was a lot of effort put into this movie, and it's definitely, and in my opinion, it'll definitely be a good movie to watch. So I suggest you definitely go out, watch it. I would say definitely go out and support this movie. Like Stephen Curry, man, he really put his heart out to bring this. He definitely put a lot of effort. He and the filmmakers definitely put a lot of time and effort to bring this movie to life. So big shout out to Stephen. So big shout out to Sony Pictures Animations. Big shout out to Stephen Curry, Columbia Pictures, and all the cast and crew who were able to make this movie possible. So big shout out to everyone. So big shout out to everyone who were involved in this movie. So definitely go out and support this movie. So definitely go out, see this movie, and support this movie. So anyway, with that being said, that'll be a wrap for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. Remember to watch movies and stay positive.